thank you all so much for joining us for gaining experience in communication and user experience design. Thrilled to have you on this Tuesday evening. I hope that you're able to come away with some wonderful tidbits just to help you as you start your experiential learning journey, and that you're able to take something that can really help you advance in your career. My name is Addison Welsh. I'm the Internship and Experiential Learning Manager in Career and Professional Development. And I'm thrilled to have Laura join me today. And Laura, I'll let you let you introduce yourself if I can speak. So
Hi.
excited to have you.
Yeah, my name is Laura Schmidt. I'm a program mentor and I support the programs of communications and UXT. And I see some of my students in here. So,
It's wonderful. Laura has been a wonderful, wonderful advocate for all things career and professional development. So thrilled that you're able to join us. All right. So today we have so much to go through. So your career milestones, we're going to chat through the career milestones that we have, both just the entire journey and then also a little bit more about just experiential learning specifically. We're going to dive into internships and micro internships, as well as other ways that you can gain experience and experiential learning opportunities. And then we'll leave some space for questions at the end. If you have questions throughout, you're welcome to pop them in the chat. We'll try to answer them as we go, but we may have to save them for the end. And so if we miss your question, please don't hesitate to put it back into the chat. And so with that, we're going to start with the career milestones. And so we all have career journeys, right? There are times in our career where maybe we are very confident about what we want to do. And there's other times when maybe you have to update your resume. Then there's other times when you're not entirely sure at all what you want to do in your career. And so really it's a cyclical cycle, right? And so the career milestones are really meant to just help you through that journey, right? Because sometimes it can be really overwhelming of like, what am I supposed to do next, right? Um, so we start with career goal identified, which is the first one. And that's really just helping you understand, like, what is it that you actually want to do? And then you move into developing a career plan so that you can actually achieve that career goal. And then we move into my favorite, experiential learning completed, which is all about just gaining experience. And then in the the fourth milestone, it's really about networking and how to cultivate the professional network that you have, because it's truly essential to help you in landing your next position. And then we finally work on just different career assets. So whether that's your resume, your LinkedIn, your portfolio, and how you design those, how you update them, because they are very much living documents. And then finally, hopefully, when you've gone through this whole process, which I realize is quite a lot of work, you have your career goal achieved. And hopefully you get that awesome job. And then we have an assessment to just make sure that those career goals are still meeting your personal and professional needs. And so, as I said, this is a process that you may jump into and out of at different points within your career. I know that I certainly have. And within each milestone, there are so many really wonderful resources to help you. And so be sure to check that out. Oh, well, just went to a website. There we go. Goodness gracious. There we go. All right. With that, I'll hand it back to Laura.
well, one thing that I think WGU does really well is experiential learning. And so there are so many resources, more than I think a lot of students even realize they have at their fingertips. And so that's what tonight is about, is just being able to show what all of those are. So with experiential learning, it's a chance for you to build your skills and knowledge, to network with other professionals and apply the knowledge that you're learning in your studies, and then just solidify your career path. One thing that I'm really passionate about is connecting what you're learning with ways to put it into practice, so that when you graduate, you have more than just a degree, but you have some experience behind you. You have a portfolio that's full of examples of what you can do. So there are a lot of different types of experiential learning, and Addison's going to go through all of that, but ultimately they give you opportunities to gain experience, skills, and knowledge, work with other professionals in the industry, and then apply what you've been learning. If you want to go to the next one. Some different types of opportunities that are available. So there's simulations that are built into your programs. There's chances to volunteer, apprenticeships, internships, micro internships, all of those we're going to talk about today. Job shadowing, so maybe there is something within your own where you're working now where you can job shadow in a different department, or someone that you know that you could reach out to. And then other things like service learning and fellowships. I had just a couple quick examples of this. Some of you attended the grad panel that we had last month, and Deja Craft was one of the speakers on that grad panel. And a lot of you directed questions directly to her because she completed the HubSpot internship and she had a lot to say about that. And she graduated in December, the beginning of December, and she is already working as a full-time UX designer as a result of having that internship. Another example that I had just from yesterday, another student of mine, I asked if I could share his story. His name's Pablo, and he just graduated this month. He actually graduated this week. And he also did an internship through all of these processes that we're going to show you. He applied through Handshake. He used the Career and Professional Development Center to build up his resume and all of that. And so he graduated yesterday. However, he's finishing his internship. It runs through the end of June. And I asked him what was next, and he said that they are talking about moving him into a full-time role. I said, do you have any advice for students who are considering internships? There's a lot of them to choose from, and sometimes that can be overwhelming. And what he said was, look at the internship and read about it, because sometimes design, he also was a UXD student, sometimes design doesn't immediately jump off the page that that's what it is. And then when you read through the description, you realize that this is exactly what I want to be doing. And so he did his internship through Stride, which is a company we work with. And he said, I have my dream job. This is exactly what I wanted to do. So 2 success stories of students who utilize those internship opportunities.
I absolutely love to hear that. That's wonderful. And I think on that note, just, and forgive me because I didn't include this as a slide, we do have Career Quest going on right now. And so Laura, at the end, please don't let me forget to chat through that, because Stride K-12, I know that they presented to us. So wonderful. I think that leads us to our first chat, if you will. Why do you want to complete an internship? As we think about some of the reasons that Laura went through, just in terms of maybe you want to gain experience, maybe you want to try a certain skill set, maybe you want to see if a certain career path is what you actually want to do. Maybe it's not an internship that you want to complete. Maybe you're looking at other experiential learning opportunities. Feel free to pop it in the chat. Just what makes you motivated to consider these types of opportunities. We've got gain experience. Absolutely. It's a great way. Definitely helps you get foot in the door. There's so many companies that use this as their recruiting pipeline. Yep. Get firsthand experience. See if I like it. Yes. Potentially get a job. Make connections. Love that. Leading to a full-time company or a job within the company. New perspectives in a desired field. That's great. Excellent. Gain experience. Grow my network. Well, you're in the right place, because the great thing is internships and experiential learning can do all of these things. Help you get a job, experience, expand portfolio, help me find a full-time job. Absolutely. Yes, Kendall, we will chat through some available internships, as well as just different ways that you can find opportunities as well. All right, so we will keep chucking along here. All right. So I think, that kind of going back just to what you said, Laura, just in thinking about the process of finding an internship, I think a lot of times the way that we approach this, I think about when I was in my bachelor's program. I just found an internship. I applied. I was accepted, and I just decided that that was a path I wanted to take. And there wasn't really a lot of thought about what I wanted to do with my career, how this was going to benefit me. To be very quite frank, I don't think I took advantage of many of the opportunities within the internship, and I definitely didn't articulate that experience very well at the end. And so there's a lot of intentionality that comes into milestone 3 with experiential learning completed. And so I'm going to walk you through that, because genuinely, I think that the more thought and I think intentionality that you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it. I really didn't like my internship. It at least showed me which job I didn't want, which can be helpful, but still, I think there's much more value there. And so the first step within milestone 3 is the preferences identifier. And so this really just helps you kind of sit down and think about, what is your career goal? Have you established that? And also makes you think about, okay, so if I know, for instance, I want to be a social media manager, and I can start looking at job descriptions and start to get a sense of what kind of experience or skills and knowledge I need. I can look at the gap analysis tool, which is part of this preferences identifier, and it can really help you understand, what experience and skills do you need in order to reach that career goal. Because I think often we think, oh, I'm just going to get this internship and it will it will be what I need. But you really have to be intentional. You know, are there certain platforms, are there certain skills that you need in order to get that job? And so that gap analysis worksheet, which is part of this preferences identifier, can really help you understand that. This worksheet also goes through your availability, because I would imagine if I asked all of you, are you busy right now? You'd probably say yes. Do you have time for one more thing? No. And so, but you want to make sure that, you know, you're very intentional about, you know, can you take a term break? You know, is there time within your schedule where you have a little bit more flexibility to be able to put some more time in your schedule to be able to take advantage of these opportunities? And so, and it also asks about compensation. You know, what is that requirement for you? Can you volunteer, or is it a financial barrier for you to do so? And so this just kind of gives you a really nice starting place. It really will take you 5 minutes. And then you are going to move into step two. And so, step two, there are so many different types of experiential learning opportunities. I think oftentimes we just think of internships, but this comparison tool actually is going to walk you through lots of different opportunities that are available, as well as the advantages and some of the considerations that you might think of. For instance, we're going to talk about simulations. And it's great because you know they're free. You can do them at any time. They're so easy when you have a busy schedule, but there's not a lot of opportunities to expand your professional network. And so just thinking about considerations like that can make sure that you are participating in options that are really going to be the most benefit to what you specifically need. And then step three, we have the internship and experiential learning guide. And this guide is really just kind of a great overview of all things experiential learning. And so it talks through different opportunities that are available, how to make the most out of them, but also where to find different websites, as well as how to add this information to your resume as well. And so just a good overall resource if you feel like, you know, after you go through steps 1 and 2, you're still kind of a little bit uncertain and you need a little bit more information. This is a great thing to look at. Like I said, it also has websites as well for you to find opportunities. And you can also find on our website, we have, it's called the experiences section, but really it's kind of like a search engine of search engines. There are a lot of really dicey, strange websites out there that will put very interesting internship opportunities that are not real. And so I certainly don't want it to be the case where you find an opportunity where you get scammed or something, you enter into a situation that's not beneficial for you. And so this really is just a website. And like I said, I'll be sure we email this out. That just has lots of different search engines that they have been vetted. They're a great place to look for opportunities. And so within this, Handshake, from a lot of the students that I speak with, I think Laura, maybe this is your experience as well. Handshake has been a really great place for students to find these opportunities. And with that, you know, you really want to make sure that your profile and your resume are updated on Handshake. You know, it's just kind of like managing a LinkedIn profile. That's free for you as a WGU student alumni, so check that out. And then LinkedIn is also, you know, there are some employers that only post on Handshake. There's others that only post on LinkedIn. And so it's really important as you have your search that you look in different areas, and use those fabulous algorithms that they have where you can actually just have it send you an email when it has something that might match your preferences. Handshake does that, LinkedIn does that. That can really help you just make your process a little bit smoother. And so that's the experiences section. It's not just internships, there's volunteering, apprenticeships, and information about other opportunities as well. This Go Rick website, it's actually pretty neat. You can go onto his website and it has a list of so many, basically you can put like, let's say I'm interested in marketing. I select that marketing industry and it shows me a whole list of companies that have internship programs. And so that's kind of another way to kind of reverse engineer it, if you will. Maybe you want to start looking at different opportunities with a specific company. And then, you know, while we're during this opportunity, hopefully you've, you know, applied, you've been accepted. Then now it's really making that most of that experience. You know, it's not just enough to show up. Internships are just as competitive as jobs. And so if you are selected for an internship, want to make sure that you're really making the most of it. And so this worksheet, this checklist, really just talks through, you know, whether it's an internship or volunteer opportunity, how can you build your brand and your network? How can you have a growth mindset? All the little things that I think as you stay in the professional world, they kind of become second nature to you, but especially as you're first starting out, this would have been really helpful for me because I didn't know what exactly to do during my internship to make the most of it. And so once you finish your internship, then we're going to move into the career growth toolkit. Um, so the Career Growth Toolkit, it's really designed to help you reflect on your experience. What skills or knowledge or experience did you gain during the opportunity and help you articulate that on your resume, LinkedIn, and also how to cultivate some of those connections you made during the experience. And so, uh, forgive me, it's a little dry here in Colorado. Um, so be sure, this is really, really important. I think this is something that a lot of students miss out on. You really want to make sure that you're able to articulate what you got from the experience so that it can help you land maybe that next job. All right. And with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Unmute here. Okay, so who can benefit from completing an internship? We separated these into 3 different categories, but basically anyone can benefit probably from completing an internship. So if you are a career starter or a career beginner, this internship can give you a way to gain some experience and skills and feel out the industry. Somebody put in the chat, just see if you like it, as you're getting started with your degree program. Career changers. So these might be people who have already worked in a certain field and are coming back to school because they want to try something different. And so these internships, same thing, gain some experience or skills in the industry that they're transitioning into, or check it out before you finish your degree and make sure that's what you want to do. Career curious, which I can never say. These are ones who might be uncertain about a career path, and an internship gives them a chance to test the waters without committing to a career path yet. So this internship opportunity can help fill out any gaps that any of these groups might have on their resume.
Excellent. And so we get asked, I guess this is also you. Handing it back to you, Laura.
You want me to keep going? Okay. Well, many students ask us whether they can participate in an internship as a non-traditional student or as an adult learner? And the answer is absolutely. We encourage all students, regardless of their age, to participate. It's important to remember that you bring a wealth of experience with you to this role. So an employer doesn't have to support you in developing skills such as problem solving, time management, accepting feedback, collaboration, etc. You're learning these in Power Skills courses within these 2 degree programs. You probably have taken giving, receiving, and incorporating feedback or adapting to ambiguity. So these skills you're already bringing. And if you have worked in any type of role, you probably have skills that you might not even realize you have. So since you have this experience and you've developed these skills, you may even become a mentor to other interns, and you can support them as they learn how to navigate the workplace. Several WGU students who were more advanced in their careers and completed an internship shared that they became a mentor to younger interns, which set them apart and helped them land a job after their internship. So something to consider as well.
Excellent. We also get asked the question a lot too. Am I doubting myself or am I just underqualified? Do I actually not have the skills in order to do the internship? And so I'll be honest, I've applied, I've definitely not applied, I've definitely struggled with imposter syndrome. And so when we think about this, imposter syndrome is really that you are qualified, but you're doubting your skills. Whereas when you're underqualified, you're actually missing some of those must have skills, like certifications or technical knowledge, or even a specific degree. And so when we think about imposter syndrome, it might be that you're not feeling good enough about yourself despite evidence of your skills. They say that about 70 to 80% of all people will experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives and within their careers. And this is especially prevalent during the job search process. And so this kind of looks like perfectionism, believing that you need to know everything in order to apply, or maybe you're downplaying your previous experience. Maybe you're undervaluing the skills or experience or knowledge that you have. And then also, I think this is something that's common as well, is we have comparison traps. Maybe we compare to our peers or other people that maybe are further along in their career, and assuming that others are more experienced and more advanced than you are. And so, left unchecked, imposter syndrome can really have some big ramifications because it can discourage you from applying to opportunities that might be a stretch for you, but could be a really great opportunity for your career. It can really lead you to downplay your own achievements or hesitate to share and highlight your skills. And it can also make you kind of over prepare or second guess your applications during your applications and your interviews, which that can come off as like nervous or not certain. And an employer really wants to feel that they're confident and that you're confident in your own abilities. And so how can you overcome this? Because I think at some point, we all struggle with this is, acknowledge and share those feelings, whether it's with your program mentor. I'll call Laura, and we can chat through this and the experience I'm having, or friends, family, whatever that might be. Sharing with others can really help normalize this. Another thing too is just tracking your wins. I think oftentimes we really forget all of the incredible things that we may complete, whether it's a certain project within a course that was difficult, maybe something we completed at work, maybe whatever it might be. Make sure you track those wins because it's really going to help you reflect on those accomplishments and help you see them, which is going to help you gain that experience. And there's so many things that are worth celebrating. It's really important also to reframe that negative self-talk. I know sometimes the things I say to myself, my goodness, I would never say that to someone else, right? And so, but it's important, we really need to make sure um, that you're kind to yourself. And so instead of I'm not good enough, you can actually say, I am capable, I have the skills, I'm able to do this. This can really help motivate you, it reduces stress. And it's also just, it's good to be kind to yourself. And so that self-compassion and practicing self-compassion is really helpful. Um, it's going to help pause when those, help you pause when those imposter thoughts arise and make you say, like notice your feelings and without judgment and just say like, this will pass, and what would you say to a friend if they felt that way, if they were experiencing imposter syndrome? And so that's imposter syndrome. But then we also have the other side of the coin, as I mentioned, the underqualified piece. And so this might look like, I legitimately do not have maybe some of the certifications or the systems or the technical knowledge that is required that is listed actually on the job description for the internship, whatever it may be. And so with that, if you're noticing that when you're applying for positions, it's going to be really important, as we talked about before, do that gap analysis sheet, just determine, where are your gaps? How can you gain some of that experience? Maybe it's going through online courses. Maybe you'll learn something here at WGU that will directly help you fill that gap. Or maybe it's a LinkedIn learning course, or hopefully, maybe even checking out some other experiential learning opportunities, which we're going to chat through here in just a minute as ways to gain that experience as well. And so I know that we all kind of come into this. And so my question to you is, um, have you ever struggled with imposter syndrome? Pop it in the chat. I think sometimes it's nice to know that you are not alone in this. And I think too, especially as you enter into a new field, it is horrible. I agree. We really doubt ourselves, and sometimes I don't think you realize how much you know as well. And I think that's why one of the things I love about experiential learning is there's one thing, when you're doing these things in your courses, it's another thing when you actually go out and apply it. And so when you're able to do this through experiential learning, oh my goodness, I do know how to do this. And that can really help boost your confidence. And so thank you all for those that are sharing in the chat. We have lots of absolutely's, definitely's. And yeah, the hardest part is knowing I have the skills, but I don't have the paper certification to prove it's what they want. I can understand that as well. Yep, absolutely. All right. So when we think about when you should apply to an internship, we also get asked this question quite a bit too. For communications and user experience design, I wouldn't say within these industries that typically, like for accounting and tech, usually there's sometimes you have to apply for a year in advance. Sometimes it's during a very certain part of the year. But typically they're going to be open, honestly, all throughout the year. And so you have a good chance to find an opportunity. But applications typically do open in the fall. Um, I also think that one of the important things is a lot of students, they wait until they're further along in their program, which it's fine to do the internship as you, especially, if you need that knowledge in order to do the internship, right? They might wait until they're closer to graduation. But the thing is if you wait until you've graduated, there's still opportunities available for recent graduates, but they're not going to be as many as if you were a current student. And so even if you have just started WGU maybe a few months ago, go check out what's available, and then you can also see, do I have what's necessary for me to actually be able to apply for that role, or where can I continue to grow? So just keep this on your radar. It's never too early to start applying. All right. Another thing is I've applied. I mean, literally, we have some students that have applied maybe 200 plus internships on Handshake, and I know how frustrating that is. Um, I think too, I think we often think it's just an internship or it's just a volunteer opportunity or apprenticeship, but they are, like I said, just as competitive as jobs can be at different times. And so I know on Handshake, on LinkedIn, so many of these platforms, there's that beautiful button that's quick apply. And it makes it so much easier because who in the world loves applying for jobs and internships? I don't. Um, and so it's really important though that when you're doing that, what happens is you're just giving them probably a general resume or cover letter that's not actually tailored to that role, where it's really highlighting that experience that you might have or those skills or whatever it may be. And so I know that tailoring your resume and your cover letter is not very fun, which I'm going to provide you with a tool that's going to help you with that a bit, but it is absolutely essential. And so please make sure you take the time to tailor. It's really about quality over quantity. And then again, we've talked about this. Make sure you're reviewing the job description, that you meet the requirements. And if you don't, can you use other experiential learning opportunities to gain that experience? I will say some students reach out and say, "Oh, I've applied to so many internships," and it's actually that they have a lot of professional experience. And so, yes, tailor resume and your cover letter both. I know that's a lot of work, but it will make a difference. Um, Saw that in the chat. Um, but sometimes students, maybe they have too much professional experience, that they actually should be applying to potentially entry or mid-level roles. And so that can be the case too. And so with that, a tool that is going to hopefully, if you have not heard of this and you have not used it, I really hope you do, because I mean, if anyone wants to write in the chat, if you love writing your resume, I would love to see how many people really love writing resumes, because I can't imagine there's that many. But JobScan is a fabulous tool that can really help with this process. And so um, JobScan basically, it can scan your resume. So you upload your resume as well as the job description for the job that you want to apply to. And it actually scans it and tells you, how is your formatting look? Is it going to make it through the applicant tracking system? How many, do you have the skills that are listed on the job description, the hard and the soft skills? What are you missing? What do you need to emphasize? All of those things. And it can really help you see where to improve on your resume. And, what are the chances that you're going to get past the applicant tracking system? And so you have unlimited resume scans because we have the premium version. This is available to you as well as all the services through Career and Professional Development for free for you as a student as well as an alumni. A lot of institutions don't offer these services for free. As an alumni, I know that my alma mater doesn't. And so that is a really, really great benefit that WGU has. And so you can go on JobScan and you can do resume scans. It generates cover letters. It actually optimizes your LinkedIn too. They also have jobs on there and you can actually track when you have applied to them. But overall, it's a really simple tool. I am not tech savvy, and by golly, I can use it and it's super easy. And you can see some really great stats on here, but I think an even better story, Laura, I'm going to hand it over to you to chat through one success story that you have.
Yeah. Okay. So my camera stopped working, which is probably good because I have been dying to share about this. So JobScan, I knew we had it, but until you actually use it, I don't think you're going to get as excited about it. So you need to go and just try it out because it's really fun to use too. But I had a student who wanted me to help them with that. So he had his resume. And then he had the job posting that he was interested in. And so when you go on JobScan, it's a side-by-side comparison. You upload your resume on one side and the job posting on the other. And then within about 5 seconds, it scans it and it will come back with a score. So originally his score was 38% match. So if he was applying to a company that uses an automated tracking system, he would not make it through. His resume, as good as it might have been, or his application, would never get to a real person's eyes. It would be thrown out in the beginning. So JobScan will then give you a list of recommended changes to make. Sometimes it was as subtle as changing something in his resume to say the exact same thing, but include the key terms that this application was looking for. So as we just went through that, sometimes it will recommend changing your font so that it's a little more readable. And it will tell you, here's some suggested fonts. So it took, 5 minutes or less to make these little changes. We rescanned it and then it was an 83% match. So it went from 38% to 83%. And I will say, he did that, he applied, and then 2 days later, he had an email that he has a phone interview. So huge success. I talk about it with all my students now. I love, love, love it.
I love that. And if you're curious to learning more about JobScan, just go, if you go to the CPD website, you'll see it right there. But we also have really great sessions available through career and professional development. We have so many wonderful career advisors. You can have a one-on-one session with them to talk about your resume. But they also do workshops. If you check out our events on the career and professional development website, just hour-long events. You can also check out the recordings on our YouTube channel. I will send all of this out, I promise. Where you can actually go to those workshops and just ask questions. You can learn about how to build your resume, how to do job scan, everything like that. And so a wonderful resource if you're feeling like you need a little more support there, which I think it's fair to say most people do. And Laura, I'm gonna hand it back to you again. Just really making you work tonight, huh?
Okay, well, this is a very impactful slide. And so I'm going to give you a minute to look at this. So completing an internship changes what happens after you graduate. So there's a 49% decrease in underemployment after graduation. So if I can talk to you, underemployment is defined as not getting the salary or compensation benefits for the skill, education, experience, or knowledge that you may have. So it doesn't mean that you're unemployed, it means you're underemployed. If you can decrease that in the first year, it's going to have massive repercussions that will benefit you down the road. We also encourage our students to take advantage of paid internship opportunities rather than unpaid. When you're looking through Handshake, you're going to see both types. What happens after graduation is impacted, whether you had a paid internship or you had an unpaid internship. 15 to 20,000 difference in salary between the two. And if you did not intern at all, you can see that that's significantly less. And then job offers. Paid interns received an average of 1.01 offers, while unpaid interns received only 0.66 average offers. And then for students who did not intern at all, it's a 0.74. So actually a little bit more than an unpaid intern even with those statistics. So for students who transition to a full-time role, this statistic is not on there, but I just want to share this too, that paid interns 55% transition to a full-time role. If you had a paid internship with that company, you have a 55% better chance of transitioning to a full-time role. Only 25% of unpaid interns transition to a full-time role statistically.
Thank you. I really do think this is such an important slide because I think too in the areas that you're all in communication, user experience design, marketing, social media, all of that, and I see this time and time again. Um, they're like, oh, become our unpaid intern, you'll become an influencer, and they try to make it sound like you're going to get more out of it. But it is really important that you are paid for the work that you do. And I think that when we look at these stats, people say, well, why does it matter if they're paid? Well, if an employer has a paid opportunity, they're likely going to put more resources, structure, learning objectives, a site supervisor, all of the things that you really need to succeed during that opportunity. You're going to get more out of it, you know. And so I think that that is really reflected here. And so I understand, you know, I did an unpaid internship, but if you can take a paid internship, we really encourage you to do so. Back to you, Laura.
Okay, so the steps. You're ready to do an internship. You can start applying for these in your second month at WGU. So you can do this early. So here are the steps. First step, think about your career goals. Identify what goals you want to achieve with an internship with a certain industry. Maybe you want to intern with a certain company. You can search for that. What skills do you want to develop? What type of experience do you need in order to be able to apply for a job in that industry? So all of those things, we talked about that already on the career and professional development page. They have in those first steps, identifying all of that. Okay, then next, you want to update your resume, LinkedIn, cover letter. You want to make sure that it looks as professional and competitive as it can be. Applying for an internship is just as competitive as applying for a job. And so take advantage of the resources that the Career and Professional Development Center has. They have people who will meet with you and get a second set of eyes on your resume and maybe give you some suggestions of some things that you might want to beef up before you apply for one. And so the next thing is you want to start searching for your internship. We're going to get into that as well, the different resources that are available for you to find those specific internships. You'll start applying. Keep in mind that this may take a few months, just like applying for a job. So sometimes you have to apply for several and you have to be patient. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a numbers game. And so, if you can uh, persevere through that, searching for a job is not fun, but it's worth it. Finally, you hopefully get to accept that internship opportunity, and you'll want to add that to your resume or your LinkedIn so that future employers can see that you participated in an internship. Don't forget that step.
Wonderful. And I feel like I've let you all down. We're going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. So you let me see here, let me switch, just ignore this. As a communications and user experience design student, you have access to the experiential learning platform. Some of you may have seen this because it is how you access your capstone project. But within this, we also have the search function to find internship opportunities. There are only 4 programs within WGU that have access to these opportunities and to this platform. What's really great about this platform, even though it looks like it was built in 1987, it has so many opportunities and it feeds from Handshake, LinkedIn, and Way Up as well. And those are 3 really, really great internship resources, and they're all in one spot. And so, and you can also just search it by paid opportunities as well, but you can see we have actually asked them to only pull in relevant opportunities. So there are opportunities that are in business, anything regarding business, marketing, user experience design, communications, all of those areas. So hopefully you're not going to get things around like engineering or science or whatever it might be, to help you with your search. And so be sure to check these out. Let's see here. Maybe I can pull one up and just show you real quick. This was not intended, so forgive me. We're kind of going off the wheels here. Part-time marketing intern at Climb Together. I love climbing, let's say. So you can kind of get a sense of what's required, kind of a little bit of a job description. And then if you decide like, my goodness, this is exactly what I want, if you click on the website, then it will actually take you it's going to take you into Handshake because that's where this one lives. But you would get the position details and be able to apply from there. And so forgive me for this little side tangent here, but I wanted to be sure to highlight that because, as I said, many of the presentations I do they don't have access to that great platform. And so I will be sure to just include that website in the resources that I send. I have a question in the chat. Who could be an expert in the field to help us optimize our resume LinkedIn for specific jobs? Often the career coaches don't know much about the field. Maya, I'm not sure when you say career coaches, if you're meaning like the career advisors. There we go. Laura's already got you. I don't even need to check on the chat. Great. I'll also say the career advisors as well can definitely help you, and JobScan is a great resource for that as well. Because as we were kind of talking about, the funny thing about job applications is, let's say you want to be a manager, and manager is all over your resume, but they want people leader. And if it doesn't have the word manager or people leader on it, then you don't get through that process. And so lots of little things on that resume. All right, we are going to hop to other experiential learning opportunities. And so beyond internships, there's micro internships. And so Parker Dewey is a company that they offer short-term projects. Usually they can be 10 to 60 hours. I think all of these opportunities are paid. And I think probably 95% of them are actually completed virtually. It is across a variety of industries. There are actually quite a few in your areas, marketing, communications, user experience design. And it's a really great way for you just to gain skills and experience and get a little bit more exposure, maybe into a specific area of an industry. And so I will tell you, this is a really great opportunity for students. It's so great, especially if you're really busy and you can't commit to that full-time internship. However, these are very, very competitive. And so I will be including in my follow-up email a YouTube video that is actually Parker Dewey came to one of our Career Quest sessions and actually presented about how to get a micro internship. And with that, we saw a huge increase in the number of students who actually got selected for these micro internships. And so if this is you're super excited. You say, oh my gosh, I want to do a micro internship. Take the time to watch that YouTube video. It's an hour of your time, but I promise you're going to make that hour up because you will actually get selected for these projects. And so it's a great thing to be able to put on your resume. Sometimes those micro internships can turn into full-time internships or even full-time positions. And so just some quick tips here. You want to make sure that they typically see that um, that you need to apply to between 5 to 10 projects. You want to make sure that your profile is complete, that you also have an updated resume. You have typically on each opportunity, you have to answer like maybe 3 questions. Make sure that it is relevant, that you're really demonstrating how you have the experience to be able to effectively do the micro internship. And again, I will send that career quest recording. One of the things about Parker Dewey, oh, give me 1 second. One thing at Parker Dewey, when you log in, you only see maybe like 5 to 10 opportunities and you're like, wow, that's not much here. The thing is that they're constantly getting updated. And they may have a micro internship that's only on there for 2 hours because they already received too many applicants for it. And so if this is something you want to do, you're going to have to dedicate yourself to really continuing to look at their opportunities and continue to apply. Laura, yes.
You made a really good point about Career Quest. A Career Quest, if you haven't looked at what the schedule is like, I mean, it is jam-packed full of industry experts who come. And so if you can go to one of those sessions, a lot of times you have a chance to really connect with someone who's in the field, and that can help you with your resume as well.
Great. Love that. All right. And then let's say you're like, internship, micro internship. I have a, full-time job. I'm going to school full-time. I have a family. I don't have time for any of this. Another opportunity is for you to check out simulations with Forage. And so they have over 300 simulations with over 125 different employers. A lot of them are Fortune 500 companies. And basically what it does is it simulates what the day-to-day work would look like if you created a marketing campaign for Lululemon, for instance. And so it really gives you kind of a sense of, maybe what the company culture is like there, what systems they use. Um, and so with this, it's quite fascinating because these organizations, it's everything from Walmart, JP Morgan, it's all over the board. They actually use this as a recruiting pipeline. And so you're actually 3 times as likely to get selected for an interview. And that's because when you complete the simulation, they can't see your responses, but they get your contact information if you're willing to provide it. And they can see that you actually dedicated 5 to 6 hours to completing this simulation on your own time. And that's really showing a dedication to the organization. And then you're 4 times as likely to get a job offer, and a lot of that is because you're using that knowledge that you have from the simulation to be able to help within that job interview. So you're showing a commitment to learning and you're gaining that company knowledge. And so these are free and you can come and go as you please and you can sign up for as many. I've signed up for some just to kind of see what it was like. And some I'm like, oh my goodness, I do not have the knowledge to do that. And if you don't finish it, that's okay. But it really helps you kind of get a sense. Maybe if you want to check out a certain area or see if it's really something you're interested in. And with that, one of the great things, so I started at WGU about 2.5 years ago, and there were not a lot of experiential learning opportunities. But within that time, we have made a huge effort to increase these opportunities to students. A lot of those started with HubSpot, as I'm sure many of you are familiar. And so just to kind of run through some upcoming opportunities, this is non-exhaustive. There are so many different opportunities that are going to be coming up in the future. And so um, make sure you stay in contact with your program mentor because they're going to be aware of these opportunities. But we have the Ripen micro internships, and this is something that career and professional development that we're launching. And so these are short-term projects with employers. You're in a group of 5 students, and these are actually very, very they're business oriented. So they're not going to be geared necessarily towards like your specific academic program, but it gives you a chance to look at SWOT analysis. How do you do? I'm trying to think of all the different things that they have you work through, like KPI dashboard, different things that just common business knowledge that can really, really set you apart as an applicant, just to get your feet wet more within the professional world. And so you also get a chance to work, directly with an actual employer, and you're working with other WGU students. So it's a great way to expand your professional network. And so these are paid opportunities. You will be receiving information. We're going to be doing 3 cohorts of this, be in March, April, and May. You will receive information about each cohort in the upcoming months, and your program mentor will also have opportunity or information about this as well. And so more to come on that. So if you're looking for more, maybe like a general business skills that you want to brush up on, great opportunity for you there. We are also, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the HubSpot micro internships. And so that program is changing a bit into some boot camps. And the reason for that is that we're really trying to be able to scale this opportunity so that more students can participate and more students can get experience. And so you will have more information about these boot camps. One of them will be like how to create an AI agent. I know absolutely nothing about AI agents, so that is literally the depth of my knowledge. But it's a great way for you to get a little bit more professional experience. They're going to provide you with training. These are paid opportunities. It's about over, I think it's an 8-week period, and there's 2 different opportunities, and more information will be coming probably within the next couple weeks about this. And we will continue. I think we will launch these within spring as well as in fall, and so you can expect hopefully to have more of those opportunities coming your way. Then you also have, with the platform I just showed you, the experiential learning platform, you complete your capstone on that platform. And so you are actually working directly, I believe that People Grove is actually the employer, and you give them feedback about their website. And this is a really great way. You are actually working with an employer. This is a wonderful thing to put on your resume. um, put in your portfolio. You are showing experience, and so please, be sure to capture that information, LinkedIn, resume, because that's a really great way to demonstrate that you have experience. And as I said, we have a lot more opportunities to come, so be sure to stay in touch with your program mentor. And then beyond that, Laura, I'm going to hand this over to you. Just some unique ways, kind of outside some of the options that we discussed, of ways that you can also gain experience. And Laura, I might kind of come and go on this one too, if you
Yeah,
will.
that's great. Yeah. Well, Addison has a great resource page that I know she'll send out tomorrow with this too, with just some things that sometimes we don't even think about that are building our experience that can be put in your portfolio or put on your resume. Things that aren't necessarily an internship, but maybe some volunteer things or freelancing things that you're doing. One thing is you launch a website, podcast, YouTube channel, blog, vlog, social media. I am amazed over and over again at how awesome our students are. I'll have a student bring to me their YouTube channel or a website that they have launched, and it's spectacular. So make sure that you're highlighting those things in your portfolio and on your resume as well. And then where you currently work, are there opportunities there that you can be utilizing and leveraging? Volunteer opportunities in communication, social media outreach, feedback on user design. There are places that you can volunteer. Catch a Fire is a great organization that you can check out for volunteer opportunities, or check out local nonprofits in your community where you can volunteer. Make sure that you are showcasing that on your resume. Um, Freelance work, publishing, media, writing, proofreading, editing. Some great places to check are Upwork, Fiverr, or Freelancer. You can establish an account on there and put your work and work as a freelancer and be hired through there. Writing contests. There's a link there of some ideas where you can participate in that. And then unrequested redesigns. You can stop me, Addison, if you don't think this is where you were going with this, but I know my son, he was a WGU student and he loves working out at the gym. And so he noticed that the gym had a really terrible website. And so he went to them and said, he wasn't looking for payment, but he was trying to build his portfolio. And he said, would you be open to me redesigning your website? And you can see if you like it or not. And so they loved it, and it was something that he could put on his portfolio then. So maybe some opportunities that way as well.
You hit it spot on. That's exactly, and I love your example. That's exactly right. um, and so I know you might look at some of these things, I don't really know if that's going to help. I will tell you that volunteering is such a wonderful, wonderful way to gain experience. Not only are you contributing to your community, you're expanding your professional network, but also you're really supporting, a local organization. And so Catch a Fire is really neat because you can actually go through and you can either, you can search by industry, you can search by, cause, maybe something that you want to support, or you can also search by specific skills that you want to grow. And so really great. There's different boards that you can join, things like that. So be sure to check that out. I will also say that a lot of I volunteer a fair bit, and a lot of my volunteer opportunities have helped me get so much clarity in my own career, but also it has led me to opportunities within those organizations. And it has also shown me that, my goodness, I do not want to work for that organization specifically because it is just not for me. And so I think that there's a lot that you can gain from all of these. But above all, employers want to know that you have experience. And so whether any of these, are something that you want to pursue, it's a great way to demonstrate that you do have that experience. All right. Well, by golly, I know we're getting to evening and you probably all had long days. So I really, really appreciate your engagement. Appreciate you hanging in there. I hope that you've learned something today. And so with that, if you want to pop in the chat, what is your biggest takeaway from the session? Maybe it's you learned about milestone 3 and how to use that journey to help you clarify your internship path. Maybe you're thinking, my goodness, I can't wait to do Forage, JobScan, love that. Really looking forward to doing micro internships, um, or considering some of those other ways that we chatted through about gaining experience. That I've got this. Yes, you do. I love that. You absolutely do. Please have confidence in yourself. I know it's so easy to doubt ourselves. And I hear that from so many students. Aware of all the opportunities, JobScan, yep, updating my resume with capstone projects, amount of different tools and resources. There are so many. I have worked for several different career centers and I am so impressed with what career and professional development does. So check it out, whether now 2 months or 2 years. Yes, you do. I will be sending you a lot of links. And so be sure to check those out. Um, not all is lost. Please don't think that. There are so many wonderful things out there, lots of ways to get you support you need to. Um, Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate your engagement in the chat. So with this, if you have a moment, if you want to use that QR code, would love your feedback. Always looking for ways to improve these sessions. Is there something that we can, add? Is there an area where you feel like, oh, I wish we could have spent more time on that? There's just so much in this. I mean, we could spend an hour just on JobScan itself. But please, we would really, really love your feedback. So please take a moment with that survey. We also have, check out career and professional development. I will send you all of those links. We also do have Career Quest going on right now. And so Career Quest, for those of you that don't know, this is a month-long, I can't call it an event, but where we have lots of different sessions. We have our career advisors doing different sessions to help with career development, but then we also have employers and recruiters that actually come and attend, and you can meet them directly. Sometimes they actually even give you their email address so that you don't have to worry about ATS. That's a great contact in order for you to keep moving forward in your career. And so check out some of those sessions. We do that in January, May, as well as September. And so a really, really great way to help you expand your network and even meet other WGU students. And with that, if you had any questions, please pop them in the chat. If we missed something and you still need an answer on it, please feel free to go ahead and add it there. But for those of you that might hop off, thank you again so much for your engagement. Thank you for joining us, especially so late in the day. Hope this was helpful, and looking forward to being able to support you as you move forward in experiential learning. It's a wonderful thing. At least I'm pretty biased, hence the job I have, but all right. Thank you all so much. Yes, I will definitely send all of these resources. I apologize if it's too many, but always better to have too many. I'm going to stop the recording here. Right.